Welcome to the excitement of NHL tonight. The top 20 centers right now. Mike Johnson, Tony Luffman. I think back, Johnny, to when John Tortorella worked here. He said to Kevin Weeks and I, who were goofing off, because that's what we do, he said, you two are wing nuts. It's easy to find wings. Centerman, much different. That was his definition. What's yours?
I mean, it's obviously the most important forward position. A lot of people would say it's the most important player skating position outside of goaltender. The importance of centermen is that they touch every part of the game. We focus on their offensive exploits. They need to be able to drive offense for themselves, score goals for themselves, but also facilitate for their wingers. They got to make their wingers better players, let them do what they do well because they're controlling play in the middle. But oh yeah, it's more than that. Every play starts with a faceoff. They got to be good in the faceoff circle. They have to be good defensively. To be one of the top players, you have to control play, which means good enough defensively that you can use your offensive advantage to exploit the opposition. That's what makes the best centerman. That's what makes them the guys that we as wingers would want to play with. I want to play with Matt Sundin because he does these things that make my life easier. That's why coaches like John Tortorella appreciate the value of the best centers in the league.
Some of the biggest names in the game are centermen. Let's take a look at last year's rankings. Right then, Connor McDavid setting the pace. Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, a lot of familiar names. We will not spoil the suspense. Let's jump in. Top 20 centers right now. At 20, Nico Hischier of the New Jersey Devils. 19, Mika Zibanejad of the Rangers over the last 5 seasons. Zibanejad's 35 slapshot goals, most among centers in the league. Robert Thomas at number 18. The first Blue to record a 60-assist season in 30 years. Remember Craig Janney on the Sega Genesis NHL Hockey 93-94? It's great. There we are. And you see it's Stützle and Suzuki getting us to 16. Let's dive in first. Nico Hischier, I think about what he's done. He's a young guy. He's going to be 25 when the season starts. He's been the captain of the Devils. Why does he belong in this list?
Because he does a lot of little things well. And I think he's probably somewhat overshadowed by Jack Hughes, who he plays with. Like, don't undersell how good Nico Hischier is in all areas of the game, and that's what makes him so good. He can play, I guess, the perceived responsible second fiddle to Jack Hughes, but also being a really good offensive player. You know, he's basically a point-a-game player. He basically scores, 35 or so goals per season. He plays in every situation. He's on the penalty kill. He's on the power play. He has to match up against other teams' best players, which is not an easy task, while also being responsible to go create offense for yourself. And he just grows and grows and grows. And as games get tougher and they get tighter and they get to the playoffs, his game translates that. He might not be the tallest guy, but he is incredibly strong and determined on the puck, around the net, around the boards. He's a coach's dream. That they could just put him in any situation. You need a goal, Nico. You're up a goal, down a goal, Nico. You go there, and it'll be getting taken care of.
Bang on, or a nightmare if you're coaching against him. I'll never forget Bob Motzko, Team USA World Juniors. I asked him what it was like coaching against Hischier, and he said, I only got nervous each time he came over the boards. Each time. Moving on. Robert Thomas, we covered. Tim Stützle of Ottawa. He had a down year. He went from 90 points last season to 70. His goals dropped from a career-high 39 to 18. Why does he belong at 17?
Well, the fact that he's still in the top 20, despite what you just said, tells you what his offensive ceiling. Now, remember, this is right now. So this is anticipating a bounce-back offensive year. His power play production went way down last year. That should probably regulate back to a normal level, which will put him comfortably in the 30-goal range. But what Tim Stützle needs to do, because we know what he does well. This is it. Like, he can dance.
Yes.
He is a great one-on-one player, one of the best transporter of the pucks to the neutral zone, zone entries, rush chances, all that kind of stuff. He's amongst the league leaders, and that's what makes him great. But what will let him climb this list and help the Ottawa Senators is to start playing better without the puck.
Okay.
And that's new coach, new philosophy, maybe new system, a whole new kind of attitude in Ottawa where Tim Stützle will have to still be that offensive producer, but also shore up some areas of the game where he's not quite as good, be a bit more consistent, be a bit more resilient to physical play against him, and be much better defensively. If he does that with the kind of talent he has, 17 will be the low mark that he'll be on this list going forward. But that's the part that's keeping him towards the, in or out of the list, is how good he or is good he not playing defensively. If he does that defensively better, he will keep climbing the list.
A lack of team success is interesting when you think about some of these guys later in the countdown. How about number 16, Nick Suzuki, Montreal Canadiens, career highs across the board. Goals, 33, assists, 44, points, 77. He has come along during this phase for the Montreal Canadiens that has not been fun, the rebuild. What do you think?
And oh yeah, you're the face and voice of it as the captain. At his age in that market, that's a big responsibility. But the good news for Montreal is that Nick Suzuki is so mature, wise beyond his years. Even in his early years, 21, 22, he felt like he was a 30-year-old veteran. He'd been around and seen it all. What's impressed me about Nick Suzuki is that I wasn't sure if he would be able to be sort of a higher-end goal scorer. You knew he'd be smart. He'd be good defensively, good leader. He'd put up good points, but I didn't know if he'd push 30-plus goals. He has, and that's only going to go up. He can shoot it much better than I thought he would be able to, and his ability to score goals while also still setting up Caulfield, getting Slavkovsky going. And another guy that I bet, as his team gets better, and Montreal is sort of on the edge now of turning the corner and becoming better, his game will shine even more.
Yes, indeed.
He was a bright light in some bleak times.
Right.
But put him around better teams, more success. He's already got a great playoff run under his belt when he was really young.
Amen.
And so I think as they get more competitive, we'll only appreciate his game that much more.
Johnny, again, hits it right out of the park. You have in Suzuki 16 points, 22 games in that 2021 run, all the way to the Cup final. They, of course, lost to the Lightning. Back to the countdown. We've covered the first 5. Now, top 20 centers right now hits 15 through 11. Dylan Larkin at 15. The Red Wings will delve deeply into him momentarily. Next, Roope Hintz of the Stars at 14. Another 30-goal year, and he would be the first star with 4 consecutive 30-goal seasons since Mike Modano. 98-99 through 2001-2002. They revealed a statue of that guy this past season. Good for you, Roope Hintz. Connor Bedard at 13. At 12, it's Sebastian Aho. 27 years old at the start of this season. It's the first of an 8-year, $78 million contract. He's the highest paid Kane, 9.75 AAV cap hit. And at number 11, JT Miller of the Vancouver Canucks. Let's start with Dylan Larkin. When Steve Yzerman went back to Detroit, the winged wheel, so happy to have Stevie Y calling the shots. The roster has been totally remade. There's only one survivor, and it's this guy, with good reason.
If you're only going to keep one,
that's the guy.
That's the one to have. And Dylan Larkin is a passionate Red Wing player
Without
and captain. He only plays hockey in the state of Michigan.
It's true.
Refuses to play anywhere else.
Right.
And he thrives there. Another guy whose two-way game is the foundation of his play, where when he was younger and he wasn't maybe as explosive offensively, or the team wasn't as good, he was still a really good player because he was so good defensively. But now, he's got better line mates. He's got better teammates. He's got the puck on his stick a little bit more. And you see those offensive numbers, especially the goals, climbing more than a point a game last year, basically a point a game the last 3 seasons. And I think about him and Raymond and Seider, and together that core is going to grow and become even more. And I will be happy for Dylan Larkin when I see him playing on better teams, Detroit back in the playoff picture, because he cares so much about the Red Wings doing well, not just because he plays there, but because he cares about them, because he's from there. But yeah, just a two-way dynamic player. And another guy, it's an interesting dynamic, like you think about Suzuki or, Larkin. They're not big, Hischier, but they're very heavy. They're very strong on the puck, low center of gravity, good in the puck battles. Dylan Larkin does everything well, and his offensive numbers are only going to climb as the Red Wings get better.
And to further Johnny's point about his passion for that club, the 07-08 Wings, who won the Stanley Cup, when they had their parade, Dylan was among the thousands and thousands on the sidewalks cheering them as they went by. He's the captain. It's full circle. It's like a Disney movie, but better because it's real life. On to Connor Bedard. This time last year, you told us his shot was NHL ready.
Yes.
You were right, and then some.
Well, he proved that. And he proved that he can produce offense at the NHL level. The Chicago Blackhawks were not a good team last year.
True.
Right? Fair enough. And Connor Bedard, even with a trying rookie season at times, with the broken jaw and other challenges he went through, was still the Rookie of the Year, still almost a point-a-game player, and doing it all with not a ton of high-end talent around him. The fact that he's 13 on this list is really forecasting a lot of growth. Because last year, he was not a top 20 center in the league last year. Even though we can all acknowledge his potential, his talent, and his excellence. He wasn't a top 20 center. No chance. But I think people recognize that he's special. and that he will grow, that he will improve, that he will learn, and he has to. Not how to shoot, not how to create, but how to play without the puck. And the challenge is twofold. One, in junior, when he was playing, he had the puck all the time.
Of course.
And then when you score so much, you know, you maybe don't check quite as hard to keep it out of your own net, because if I give one up, that's okay, because I'm going to go get one.
Right.
Because it's always been easy for me to go get another one.
Yep.
It's not so easy in the NHL to win games trying to go get another one when you give up cheapies. So he does stuff with the puck offensively, his creativity, his hands. For a guy who's not big and not a fast skater, per se, he's shifty and quick, but he's not fast. He evades checkers, uses his edge, his eyes. He's very misdirection to get himself in open places. All that being said is great, and that will get you 20th. But doesn't get you 13th in the NHL. You've got to be able to play defensively. You got to play protecting a lead. You got to play against the other team's best players. And Connor Bedard wasn't able to do that with great success. But I think going forward, as he grows and Chicago gets better, he'll show that he can do that.
On to JT Miller at number 11. He, third straight season of at least 50 assists. Last Canuck forward with that distinction, Henrik Sedin. Good for you, JT Miller. How about what we saw from him this past season?
Yeah, amazing stuff for JT Miller. I just think about the growth in his game.
Yes.
And JT Miller's not a kid anymore. He's into his 30s. He's going to be 31 as the season starts. And he still is progressing. And he's so much more mature. Now, the one thing he's always been really incredible at was producing on the power play. He's always been a kind of a uniquely creative flank offensive producer on the power play. Whether it's a big shot, but more often with him, it's passing the puck around and creating for his teammates. But he's rounded that out with a way better 5-on-5 game. So yeah, it's pretty impressive when you think about, you know, he's 6th in power play points with all those high-end players, and he's right up there with them. He belongs there with them, but it's his 5-on-5 game that has really taken strides and made him a fixture on this top 20 list, that Rick Tocchet can put him out there, and he can play against other teams' best lines. He certainly can kill penalties really well, plays in every situation, and brings an energy. Like,
oh, yes, he
teams
does.
need personality.
Oh, yes, he does.
They need players that bring that little bit
Johnny.
of juice, grease, jam. And everyone feeds off it. Even if you don't play that way, you get sort of inspired and motivated and energized by guys like JT Miller that do. And I think that's an important role that he plays on Vancouver, that he brings that edge, that attitude, that personality that makes him and his team better.
Well said. Sometimes the planets come into alignment, and Rick Tocchet, the king of intensity, has an intense player like JT. Works together beautifully. We're going to take our first time out. When we come back, Sidney Crosby, arguably the greatest player of his era. But how much will that factor into where he ranks on our top 20 list right now? We'll have to find out. Don't move.
This guy has been a star player in the league now.
Pedersen, a guy as skilled and talented as he is,
A really good centerman.
brought a swagger for the Canucks.
I mean, this guy brings a lot of that to the table.
Moving in, a chance, score, Pedersen.
Oh, man, what hands! And he's buried in the corner, not to the ice.
Elias Pettersson has a nasty release. One of the best in the game.
That had All-Star written all over it.
That's just his game, silky smooth.
Pedersen scores on a wraparound. He sees things that others just don't.
I know what you're thinking, fellow hockey observers. Don't they know what happened to Pedersen down the stretch? He regular season playoffs, 2 goals, 13 points in the final 26 games. Yes, we're aware of that, but are you aware of what Pedersen has done for 3 years? As you look at it up on that board, it's been over a point per night for the 2nd consecutive season when looked at in totality. How do you feel about Elias Pettersson's game?
Well, it tells you the strength of his body of work prior to his slump at the end of the season. The
True.
fact that he's in the top 10, despite having a cold finish for him, sort of lost his confidence, which is amazing to say that a player as great as Pedersen
And he is great.
And he is great. And has had such tremendous success on a team that was having a rebounding great season.
Without a doubt.
Was somehow able to lose his confidence and sort of mojo about the way he was playing, the way he was producing. But I think he'll get it back because he's too good not to. I think before we delve into the offensive stuff, you need to realize Pedersen is one of the best. We're gonna, Barkov's gonna be on this list, a different player, one of the best defensive centermen in the league. Make no mistake about it. So, yeah, we can talk about his offense coming and going, and it kind of went at the end of the season. But his defense is really, really strong part of his game. So don't discount that when you're factoring in where he ranks in this list. And then the offense, we saw him win the hardest shot contest.
Yes, he did. At the All-Star.
His thin frame, he can really bring it.
6'2", 176.
One of the bigger one-timers in the league. Strong on the puck. Protects it around the net, can do a lot of nice things with it. And so I think the idea of getting away after last year where there was some contractual conversation, I think like the noise around his season was a distraction to him.
Well said, yeah.
Which, you know, he's human. These things happen. That is in the past. Now he's locked in. Team is going forward. He's going to be a big part of it. Rick Tocchet and him have a great relationship. I expect him to have another bounce-back year offensively, just more consistently, although like he's bouncing back from what? 89 points?
Point a night.
Yeah, so, you know, maybe pushing 100 once again.
Sure.
He's that good, but the defensive side of the game is what really stands out with him as well.
To number 9, New Jersey Devils fans love them some Jack Hughes. Take a look at 86 coming in hot. Started the season on fire last year. 18 points in his first 7 games. Dealt with injuries, missed 20 games because of being hampered by injuries. He finished with his 3rd consecutive season over a point per game. He's the only Devil to do that, ever. Consecutive. Sure, we all remember the greatness of Patrick Elias. He had 4 point-per-game seasons, but they weren't consecutive. How about Jack Hughes?
So I think you mentioned his greatest challenge is that he hasn't been able to play consistently 82 games or 80 games or something close to that. And his reality is he's a smaller framed guy, and he's had some injuries along the way. But when he's in the lineup, he is as good as just about anybody in the league at a lot of the different things offensively. Just an absolute puck-dominant player. He has impressed me in his career with his ability to generate offense for himself. I thought he would be shifty as a sort of pass-first, like McDavid pass kind of creativity for his line mates more than himself. But no, he is an absolute volume shooter and volume scorer relative to the guys he plays with. That has impressed me. I didn't know that he had that in him. He certainly does. You know, you see what he can do off the rush. Look at the guys that he is with McKinnon, McDavid. He loves to take it coast to coast because he can. Electric skater, tons of confidence and swagger. And I think at his best, he is very close to being the next best of, I think there's sort of like a big group of centermen that are at the top of this list. We'll get to them eventually. Like a big 4. He's probably the next closest to being 5.
That's impressive.
When he's healthy and he's right. And I think if he's healthy, he's going to have a monster year, and so will New Jersey. New Jersey is going to be completely different if they get good health. They got the goaltender now. They'll be led by Jack Hughes. Watch out. He will get over 100 points. He will get over 40 goals. He's going to have a monster season. And I would wager if he plays 75 more games, there's no way he's not higher ranked than 9 next year.
I believe you. Let's get to number 8. Coming in just ahead of Jack Hughes, it's Jack Eichel, one of the 6 players announced to Team USA's initial 2025 Four Nations Faceoff. It's a huge honor. Best on best competition, and Team USA made him one of their first 6 selections. What do you make of Jack Eichel at number 8?
I see the list, it comes out, and I see Eichel at 8. And my first gut reaction is like, that might feel high. And then you start thinking about it, and you look at the numbers and the way that everything he's accomplished, like, no, it's totally appropriate. But it feels like there was a lot more for Jack Eichel to achieve, despite the obviously excellent numbers from last year. Much like Jack Hughes, Jack Eichel has had a long history of pretty serious injuries.
True.
He just hasn't played, the 82-game schedule and put up 45 goals and 110 points, which he has the ability to do. He has just missed too much time. I mean, 15 games is the fewest games that he's missed in the last 4 seasons. That's a lot. And so we know he's a physically dynamic player, and he works hard. He's very strong. Some of it's bad luck. But he needs to stay healthy. If he can do that, then he'll be comfortably inside the top 10, because physically he is as fast and sort of as strong a skater as there almost is up there with McKinnon. Maybe a different kind of skater than McDavid, but when it just comes to like raw power, being able to blow through checks and beat guys to the net and then make plays happen with it, he's almost as good as anybody in the world.
Wow.
So it's crazy to say that a guy who's accomplished as much as he has and overcome as much as he has and won a Stanley Cup and been great in that Stanley Cup win leaves you suggesting he has a lot more to give.
That's intriguing.
And to provide. And I guess Vegas would be excited to see what that could be if he's able to stay healthy for a whole year.
On the topic of great playoff performers, coming in ahead of Jack Eichel is Brayden Point. Pound for pound, one of the most effective players in the ozone in the league. He's 5'10", 178. He had 12 game-winning goals this past season. That was the top mark of any player in the National Hockey League. We are in the winning business, and 21 has helped them win a lot, Johnny. A lot.
Certainly has. And he probably doesn't get as much attention as he deserves because they got so many other stars down in Tampa to talk about.
Sure.
Right? You got the goaltender in Vaz, you got Hedman, you got Cooch, you got Stammer, and oh yeah, Brayden Point. But if you look at it, Brayden Point he might be their most important forward. And so he's got a great knack of getting himself in the right spots and then using what he does really well to create his offense and reading off the other talented players he plays with. But he's an explosive first stride skater. So you and I, standing with Brayden Point, his first 3 strides, he's gotten away from us. And he's able to dart to holes. And then when he gets there, great hands, great shot on quick releases in traffic. That's why he's so good in that bumper spot on the power play. And part of the reason why Kucherov has the great years he has is because he often gets to play with Brayden Point, who does a lot of the work to get it out of the own end, get it up the ice, get it off the boards, get it in the middle of the ice, and then, oh yeah, finish a lot of the passes that Kucherov is able to deliver it to him. The fact that, I guess he's undersized, I don't even know what that means anymore, but he's able to thrive in the playoffs the way he is tells you about his brain and his will to compete and get to the spots on the ice where you have to go to be successful in the regular season, but maybe even more impressively in the playoffs. John Cooper cannot say enough good things about Brayden Point. He just absolutely loves him, and why wouldn't you? A dynamic player, part of anything they do on the ice with success in Tampa.
We love the World Juniors. It's home here on NHL Network. I think about him at the World Juniors. The legend has it that Robbie Fabry goes down with a high ankle sprain, and Brayden Point steps in, and he plays like Brayden Point would end up playing in the National Hockey League. What about his mental makeup, which you touched on briefly, allows him to come through in big moments?
Well, the reality is for a lot of players, even ones as talented as Brayden Point, is when you are slightly smaller, for a lot of your hockey existence, you will be questioned. You'll have to prove you can instead of proving that you can't.
Interesting.
And so I would imagine whether it's stepping into a role that he maybe didn't secure on the World Junior team or stepping into the playoffs in a talented group and not getting the #1 spot, whatever it might be, you got to show you can do it. And so that with that challenge from the time you're 13, 14, 15 years old, you develop a sense of self-belief and resiliency. And I think that's what Brayden Point has. Like, he had to show he could do it. And he doesn't mind pushing that perception of him to show that he can. He clearly has answered all those questions at this point.
He was picked 79 in his draft. With all due respect.
There you go.
We have no idea what we're doing. None at all. We did know what we were doing at number 6. This guy went first overall because he deserved to. Sidney Crosby. Number 87, like a fine wine, he ages. He'll be 37 when this season starts. Last year, he was extraordinary, putting up his 19th straight season of over a point per game.
19!
The only guy who'd ever done that before wore 99. You know who we're talking about, Wayne Gretzky. Incredible, Johnny.
And I would imagine he'll get 20. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
2 decades of consecutive
Excellent
point per game with all the trials and tribulations that he has. He is sort of nudged and forced his way onto the Mount Rushmore of all time.
Amen to that.
Greatest hockey players.
Yes.
It's Gretz, it's Mario, it's Bobby Orr, and now it's going to have a conversation. Is it Sid or is it Gordie Howe?
How about that?
Like, that's where he is.
Wow.
And the fact
Special.
that even as the team has changed, his team maybe not quite as good as they once were, he is still rolling along and doing it both ends of the ice, scoring a bunch of goals, way over a point a game. It's incredible. I love that he's still on this list. I played against Sid his rookie year. I played, several years against Sid at the start of his career. And part of the fascination in watching Sidney Crosby's career is its evolution. Because he's not the same kind of player that he was when he was 22, 23, 24. Plays the games differently, finds success differently. But as it's often been referenced, he's got he's like the greatest grinder of all time. Because that's the sort of mindset he brings and has brought for 20 years, Tone. If you're ever going to rest on your laurels, it would be Sid, because there's so many to rest on. But he doesn't, not day to day, not season to season. And that's what allowed him to have just an unfathomable consistency. 19 years point per game. That might be the most impressive thing. If he can do it one more time, 20 years of that in this day and age where that's hard to do, to get one season like that, let alone 20, it's amazing. And I think that he carries the responsibility of being great, and he takes it very seriously. You know, I think he appreciates what he means to that organization, sort of big picture, understands what he means to them on the ice, and he doesn't want to let anyone down in that regard. Most of them all himself.
Yes.
Where he has the highest standard of himself. It's wild. I mean, this is a young man's game. You go through this list, there's not many players who are 30.
True.
He's pushing closer to 40. And yet he is fully deserving to be right there in the top 5, 6 centers, still in the league. In a young man's game, he is going strong, and I imagine he'll do it one more year next year again.
Keep in mind how influential he was on me. I once bought a pair of Reeboks because he endorsed them.
Pump, pump, pump.
Yes, an energy drink for your feet. Sid, I'm all in on you. We're going to take a break on this countdown. When we come back, top 5. Toronto honored Austin Matthews by putting the C on him. First American-born player to have that honor. When we come back, where's Poppy going to land? You'll find out. Top 5 next.
This is a different Sasha Barkov than I've seen.
He has the strength, elite checker. He has the poise of an elite playmaker. He can shoot the puck anywhere he wants.
And they scored. What a play, Barkov. Right at the top of your list of highlight goals.
Making plays in all 3 zones. Magnificent.
For a long time, the most underrated player in the NHL, no longer. Sasha Barkov, Stanley Cup champion!
Immortality achieved for the Florida Panthers. That's the first Finnish captain to ever hoist the Stanley Cup. Won his second Selke Trophy this past season as well. 22 playoff points, 4 game-winning goals. What a campaign for a player who used to be one of the most underrated. Everybody's caught up. We now know how special he is. He's number 5 on our list. I know you're high on him.
You can't be 5 on our list and say you're underrated. I think everyone now he might play in a smaller market, but he's not underrated. Alexander Barkov, one of the best two-way centermen in the league. You mentioned the Selke Trophy. I think now with Patrice Bergeron being retired, he's a guy that could go on a run where he may have a few of these when his career is over.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why he is where he is on the list, right? He's he's a very good offensive player, but never necessarily chases the monster numbers at the expense of the defensive end of the ice. Yes, he was on about 90-point pace and he was able to play every game this year, which is really good. But other guys get 140, so it was a long way from that. But he's a guy who just does whatever it takes to help his team win. And I think that's what you want out of your number 1 player, number 1 centerman. We know what he does so well, and of course, to see him do it in the playoffs. That's the other thing. We know what you do in the regular season. Can you do it in the playoffs? Can you come up big in big moments when it's tight?
Yes, he did. Yep.
When it's tough?
Yep.
Can you match up against other teams' top players? Like all these things which separate the best from the very best. And he thrived in a lot of those areas this past season. And see a picture of him holding a Stanley Cup over his head. That's why he's where he is on this list.
Point proven. Now, on the other side of that Stanley Cup epic final, the Edmonton Oilers and Leon Draisaitl, who was physically compromised. Not a person on earth couldn't see that, but he didn't say boo. Not a word. What a competitor. It's the second time he's gone 30 or more playoff points. Keep in mind, he didn't go to the Cup final till this past year. In 2022, he had 32 points in 16 games. That's nuts. And this year, 31 points in 25 playoff games. But the most impactful thing to me, and I love stats as much as anyone in the National Hockey League does, this guy was so fierce, so tough, so mentally and physically tough. I came away from that Cup final committed to always correcting anyone around me who would question him or McDavid. They didn't win the Cup, but this isn't tennis, this isn't golf. Those guys sold out, and they deserve to be remembered as unbelievable competitors for this past season.
The list gets really interesting right here.
Of course.
Because to me, there are 4 centers that have separated themselves from everyone else. And
True.
here they come. I think we all know who they're going to be. Leon Draisaitl, part of that group. And I think who's number one, you know, he's been there for a while. But, you know, how you separate the other guys is kind of personal opinion. Leon Draisaitl, you can make the case, and you know, very easily that he's, you know, right there as the second best center in the world with the numbers he puts up. Remember, he doesn't play with Connor McDavid.
True.
He plays on the same team as Connor McDavid, and he plays on the same power play as Connor McDavid, but he doesn't play 5-on-5 with Connor McDavid more than just occasionally. And yet, he's able to continue to produce and drive a line. We know what he can do offensively. He is by far the greatest power play scorer.
Without a doubt.
And we know he likes to live on that right bottom circle. One-timers from acute angles. Makes it look very easy with that big canoe paddle of a blade that he has. But his numbers in the regular season speak for themselves. They're right there as good as anyone's. But it's his numbers in the playoffs that really separate him and put him into the all-time great conversation, where you think of the production he's had. You mentioned some of the numbers that he's able to do that, because in the playoffs it's supposed to be harder, no?
Of course.
It's supposed to be tighter checking, better systems, better preparation, advantage defense. Not to this guy.
No.
He just piles it up at historical clips in the playoffs. And I think part of that's because he has a unique way of creating his offense with his frame and his size. He's able to create space when there is none, because he can physically manufacture that space to do the things he wants to do. Without a doubt, belongs in the Big Four, as they are going to be called on this list. He's fourth right now, and to think that he's able, a couple times in the playoffs, once he played on one leg, on a bad ankle, and was piling up 2 points per game. This past year, he had something going on in the back core area. And still piled up massive points, 30 plus again, which is a big, big number. Just one of the very best there is.
Belongs. We continue with the Big Four. At number 3, it's Austin Matthews. I quote the great Mike Johnson, who said, as he was piling up 69 goals, he's the best shooter in the world. So yes, Steph Curry, I admire you and what you did in Paris. But the best shooting American wears 34 for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Johnny.
69.
Yes.
69 goals last year. A number last met by Mario Lemieux.
In the 90s.
3 decades ago.
Come on.
And it's amazing what he's done since the second he stepped into the league.
Oh, yeah.
This 4-goal effort in his first game, he just continued to grow and get better and get better. And yes, most centermen on this list have more assists than goals. That doesn't make it worse to have more goals than assists.
It does not.
If I'm going to be having more of one over the other, I'm going to take more goals. And Austin Matthews has now clearly, very clearly established himself as the greatest goal scorer in the game.
I love that
It's
sentence.
the single most important stat that a forward has, scoring goals. There is nobody since the day he's gotten in the league that has been able to do it as well as him at 5-on-5. And now, in every situation, no one does it as well as him. He is the future of shooting the puck. He's got it to a level and a system of shooting that is so technical, that is so not just go out there and do it. It is coached and taught and worked on every single summer to do what he does. And crazy enough, it's what does he need? 52?
Unbelievable.
To tie Matt's?
Already.
To be all-time
Come on.
greatest goal scorer in Maple Leaf history. Now, I don't think I'd be surprising anyone to say I fully expect him to get that this year.
Here.
If he doesn't score 52, it's a bad year.
Yeah.
Because that's
what
how
happened
great
at 34.
he is.
Yeah.
So so we know all that stuff. Also worth noting, he's a great defensive player. You know, he picks up Selke votes, even though he might not. People around the league might not appreciate that because the goal scoring is so enormous. A very good defensive player, takes on that role more and more with the Toronto Maple Leafs, where he matches up against tough lines, starts in his own end, doesn't get all the offensive candy that a player of his ilk might get, and he's still thriving in it. The only thing that is keeping him from challenging 2-1 is his playoff performance.
True.
And I think we highlighted guys who have really taken it up notches in the playoffs. He's been good, but hasn't been all-time great. Hasn't grabbed a series and said, it's mine. We're not losing because I'm going to get 14 points and 8 goals in these 7 games, and we're going to win. He's been good, but there's more there, and I think that's the last piece of his puzzle to challenge the very best guys in the league.
Perhaps this coming season will be that opportunity for him. We're down to the top 2. Time to crown number 1. Find out if Hart Trophy winner Nathan MacKinnon can put an end to the 7-year reign of Connor McDavid as the best center in the game. Top 20 centers right now rolls on next.
Nathan MacKinnon. Is he the hottest player in the National Hockey League?
He is unbelievable right now.
To win it in overtime, he scores!
No one in the world skates like him. It's the speed, it's the acceleration, and it's the separation.
Nathan MacKinnon! It's a 4-goal night!
One of the most competitive people that I've ever been around.
And MacKinnon continues to blow away the hockey world. What an incredible performance.
All you can say about number 29 is wow.
Don't take our word for it. Consider how his peers saw him this past season. The Ted Lindsay Award winner, as voted on by the NHLPA, the Hart Trophy, the league MVP. His numbers are ridiculous, but more impressive than any statistic is watching him skate. Violent, driving his skates into the ice and galloping like Secretariat. I will never tire of watching this guy play ice hockey.
Linear crossovers, that's what he does. That's the technical term for him going in a straight line while crossing over. He does it better than anyone. And there are players in the league who are fast skaters. There are players in the league who are powerful skaters. But nobody does both.
Agreed.
Like Nate MacKinnon, where he can skate faster than you, but he can also skate through you if he has to. And you look at that new NHL Edge stats and bursts of 20-plus miles an hour. He's there. During a game, nobody gets going faster more often than him. And you watch him play, you're like, yeah, that checks out.
Yes,
That's
it
eye
does.
test, number test matching up, because he flies around the ice at that kind of pace. Such an impressive season and career already. Hall of Famer if he never plays another game.
Agreed.
Clearly.
Agreed.
First ballot guy.
Yes.
Already decided. The fact that he set a record for the Quebec Colorado franchise, beating Stastny's 139 points to 140.
That's a big
He's
deal.
up there with Forsberg and with Sakic.
Big deal.
Those are big,
Huge.
big names
Right.
in the history of the league. Also, it's not like the Colorado Avalanche had a perfect season last year.
Nope.
They had a whole bunch of really important players, including their captain, miss massive amounts of time.
All the more impressive.
Now, MacKinnon, he played every single game and led them in an incredible way. Volume shooter, right? He's like the new Ovi, where he averaged almost 5 shots per game, 400 plus on the season. And that's with every team, every night,
absolutely
trying to focus on him and
Circle 29.
take him away. Don't
Right.
let him shoot it.
Right.
You can't.
No.
You can't. So he's a unique player in this group of the very best because they all share sort of dynamic physical skills. But what Nate brings that is a little bit different is he brings a physical element, confrontational element to his game. When he gets frustrated, when he gets emotional, he wants to get hit. He wants to run into someone. He wants it to get a little spicy.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets better in that regard. And so he's really one of the very best. We've also referenced a lot of playoff production. He's one of the greatest playoff scorers of all time.
Without a doubt.
You know, top 5 point per game of
Indeed.
all time. So really right there, such a great season to put it all together for him. First time over 50 goals, 140 points. You know, one of the very best. Just this year, again, not quite the best.
Nate is great, but he couldn't prevent our number 1 pick from making it 8 in a row. Wow.
Connor McDavid, did you see what he did?
We don't talk about him enough.
It's a human highlight reel. Don't get there without Connor McDavid.
Beautiful spindle. Sent the ball by Evander Kane. McDavid needs all of 5 seconds. Welcome back, Captain.
I mean, this guy hunts down pucks.
He is better than the people he's playing with and against.
100 assists and his 120th point. He's wheeling and dealing. It's Connor McDavid in double overtime.
We are seeing something really special right now.
97 is just special. You look at his last 4 seasons, and yes, he's been atop our list for 8 years in a row. His numbers are staggering, and we love that about him. His 34 playoff assists, most in a single postseason ever, topping Wayne Gretzky's previous mark of 31. He won the Conn Smythe despite the Oil not winning the Cup. My favorite memory from this playoff run that was such an epic 7-game battle. We're going to drag them back to Alberta, and they did. What a force he is.
Where do you start?
Good luck.
You start thinking about,
could have done the whole hour on him.
Absolutely. So, 100 assists, right? It was Gretz, it was Mario, it was Bobby Orr. And Kucherov put on as well. But Connor McDavid, 100 assists. It's almost like he's so gifted offensively in the regular season. He chooses sort of something to focus on, and then he goes and kills it in that category. A couple years ago, he wanted to score more goals.
And he did.
He put up a 60-plus spot.
He did.
Right? Last year, I think he felt like he wanted to get Zach Hyman 50 goals.
It worked.
He wanted to try to get to 100 assists. And he did.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe the goals were down, but I think because he just shifts his focus to challenge himself in different ways. And that's how great he is.
Truly.
And that, he can just sort of do what he wants as he wants it. And again, with every team trying to figure out how to stop him, to watch him and that power play unit go together, if you are a fan of hockey, it is poetry in motion. You need to play Sweet Georgia Brown and watch the guys snap it around.
Great reference.
And try to figure out where they're going to attack from.
Oh, yeah.
And with him as a quarterback, you can't stop him. And I put myself out there as a guy who used to have to try to play against players like Connor McDavid and thinking about trying to slow him down when he's dashing through the neutral zone. There's no way to do it.
Scary. What are you going to do?
You can't do it. You just got to respect that he's better than you. This is the NHL. There is no better place to play hockey in the world. And there are leaps and bounds differences between his best and the guys he's competing with.
So true.
And that's not normal.
No.
It should be incremental, fractional differences.
Right.
It's huge differences for him. And oh yeah, what about the playoffs? What about the playoffs? More assists than anyone?
Ever.
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 Including 99?
It's a big deal.
What are we talking about?
Seriously.
Conn Smythe, first skater to win it since Reggie Leach in
76.
You got Jaguar, you got Hextall, but when you lose, you don't win that no matter what you do.
Unless
the force of his greatness gets him a Conn Smythe. Yeah, I mean, he is unquestionably the most dynamic offensive player in the world, bar none. And even the other side of the puck, we've talked about a lot about defensive hockey. That matters to me when you put a list like this together.
Of course.
He's also taken great strides and growth in that regard. So he's not a liability defensively anymore. He's much more proficient at it. And then you put that with the offensive greatness, and you have a guy who I don't know if Nate McKinnon couldn't knock him out of number one this year. I don't know what's going to have to happen for him not to be number one going forward.
Either.
He is just, the greatest offensive player we've seen in the last 30 years.
Amen to that. Let's take a look at the top 20. You see McDavid at the top. Johnny, you made the point.
Yeah.
It's a young man's game. Only a handful of guys over 30.
Yeah, 3 30-plus-year-olds on the list out of the top 20. And that checks out. It is a young player's game. And maybe more importantly for centermen, because they have to do more work. They got to skate. They got to play more. It's harder to be great. So kudos to JT Miller, to Zibanejad, and Sid, representing the older class.
So our list is final, but we're not done yet. Coming up next, Johnny tells us who he thinks could break through into the top 20 centers right now next year. The suspense is killing me. Come on back. Let's see the finish. This has been a blast. On the left, top 10 centers right now. On the right, Johnny. Some adjustments there. Why?
Pretty similar top 5. We know why that is. Jack Hughes, I'm such a big fan. I think the only thing stopping him from being 6 or 5 is health. So I'm giving him good health.
Got it.
And I'm giving him 45 goals. I give him 110 points. I'm giving him number 6. The other guy, Sebastian Aho, to me, jumps up. I give him my top 10. He is a picture of consistency. Oh, yeah, he puts up around 90 points and does it at both ends of the ice in every situation. So I'm giving him a little love for his two-way game. That's sort of my biggest changes, my top 10 versus yours.
And you bumped Aho into the top 10. I want to ask you to pick a player that wasn't in the top 20 right now who could make a jump in the season to come and perhaps land in the top 20 next summer.
So I'm going to a guy who was in it previously. Tage Thompson.
Bold.
2 previous seasons prior to this last one.
I like it.
85 goals.
Yep.
Last year dropped down all the way to 29. Now remember, Buffalo is going to be more competitive. A whole bunch of their top players had off years last year relative to the year prior. I think the growth of the defense core, Owen Power, not necessarily Dahlin, who's already there, but Owen Power specifically will help him. And Lindy Ruff, who is a very good offensive coach. will empower these guys to go out and play. And I don't know if he's ever going to be quite what he was 2 years ago, nearing 50 and 100 points. But if he finds the happy ground in 35, 40 goals and 80 points, he'll be on this list and he'll be 14, 15. He's got the highest ceiling, right? Like, if it all goes well for him with his skills to shoot the puck in the week and create offense, he has a chance to do some really special things. And if Buffalo has a good year, Tage Thompson will be a big part of it.
You can't teach that wingspan. It's special.
I can't teach that shot.
Special. True. Now, I'm thinking about one of the most celebrated rookies in recent memory, Macklin Celebrini. What do you expect from him as a centerman?
So I think he's going to be fantastic right away. Like, he went in and played at university as a 17-year-old.
Hobie, youngest.
Won the Hobie Baker. When you're playing against 22, 23, 24-year-olds throughout most of his time, I saw him play internationally, and I see the things he does special. He is quick. He's got a great release. He's got a nose for the net. His biggest challenge might be San Jose. They're not going to be very good, a lot like Connor Bedard last year, where Chicago wasn't very good. Not a ton of support around him, but I expect him to be the likely Calder Trophy winner. I expect him to put up good stats and offer up a more complete game than maybe Connor Bedard. So he might not put up quite as many points per game, but he might do other things better. And if it goes great, he might not make it next year, but he'll be on this list before you know it.
You're astute when it comes to the mental makeup of a player. Because of what his dad does for a living, because he grew up around pro sports, how much does that benefit him?
It can't hurt. He's mature, he's confident, he's seen other great players deal with the kind of pressure he's going to be under and thrive under it. He's going to be a good one. San Jose is going to be a little while, but with him as a building block, they'll get there.
There will be tons of debate about this list and anyone. That's what we're here for. Let the debate commence. Top 20 centers right now was fun for us. Hope you liked it too. Thanks for watching.